Newcastle Jets, a disappointing year last year, 5th place finish, and a really poor end to the year. But they've recruited locally, trying to build that support network with former players. Rhali, Dobson, Cath, Cannuli. What are we thinking about Newcastle Jets for the upcoming season?
I feel like it's very much going to be a roller coaster for them. They've made some recruits. Whether it's enough to make a difference, that's questionable. It's consistency is going to be their biggest thing, and that's been a problem for Newcastle for many, many years, all through the A-League women's probably lifespan. Consistency has been the problem. They've picked up some players who have played in the A-League before, in the way of their current striker, Adriana. She's now Kokonakis, I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she was Adriana Jones, who's played at the likes of Adelaide, Melbourne City. But the big thing for them is they've lost their captain in Gemma Simon, who's now gone to Melbourne Victory. The work that she did behind the scenes, she did a lot to keep that club together, is a stalwart there. So for me, I don't see them really finishing towards the top, but they may surprise me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think that they'll be finishing anywhere near the top with this current squad that they've got. I think, again, Newcastle's a team that needs to start looking at other ways that they can obviously recruit and how they can start to build a base. And I know that they've worked really hard in trying to get Newcastle-based players from the NPL to try and give it that feel, that it's that family, homely feel. But unfortunately, coming into this competition at this point of the year, it's going to be tough for them to, find their feet in the competition. In terms of players that have got that experience in the competition. They've only got, a handful of players. It's going to be a really tough year for them, but I know, Ash works really hard behind the scenes into trying to make things work. She has gone and recruited some former players in Renee Israf and Tracy McGovern, which are former Australian players that will help mentor and try and build and push the club in the direction that she would like it to go. So I think that's really important that we look at that in this competition and look at where the competition is at right now and how we're going to push it forward. And I think getting former players involved to actually help the next generation of players in our competition on and off the pitch, I think is going to be a key thing for them to get a lot of these young kids through the season.
But the Jets are doing that nasty cycle of we're just rehashing the same players. So they'll be there for a little bit, they fall out of the competition for a while, they come back in, or they're ones that have been on the fringe, which is good because sometimes being on the fringe at other clubs and you can come in and prove your points somewhere else, that's how we discover players. But they really need to start looking forward and investing and not being so trying to just get that snap result for one year. It needs to be a longevity thing, and they need to start being really ruthless with how they recruit with their players, because it's great for the local competition to have players in there, but they're not necessarily the best players available. It comes down to very much are you willing to do what's just asked, rather than are you willing to show your flair, show that side of you that is really going to capture. So for me, Newcastle, this is a make or break season potentially for Ash Wilson. She really needs to show what this country city has to offer. Their recruitments in the internationals, I don't really know too much about. They haven't done too much themselves. But that's why players do come to our league, to prove a point. So when they do return overseas, they're noticed.
Yeah, I think, losing Gemma Simon and Christy Fenton, I think is two big losses for that team. They were two players that, played, very, very well for that squad. Gemma Simon as well, been around the competition for a long time and a really experienced player. I think it's going to be hard to replace them. They've also lost Sophie Harding to Western Sydney Wanderers this season.
And I think Hannah Brewer hasn't been signed.
Oh, that's an interesting one as well. So Hannah Brewer's, she's...
Yeah, there's been nothing in the media, and she is someone who just gives them that, I'm going to be honest, that little bit of mongrel, which they need. Every team needs that, and that's what Hannah gave. But she hasn't been an announced signing yet. So whether she's gone, I need to have a bit of time.
Yeah, look, that'll be an interesting one if they've lost her from that back line. I think Hannah, again, she is a mongrel on the field. She will give you everything. She does not give up.
She'll hate you on the field, but you're best friends afterwards.
She's a great girl off the field, but yeah, on the field, she's someone that you do not want to go.
You need that grit.
You need it, and especially playing in a team like Newcastle, everybody's got to work hard and push towards that end goal of what they want to achieve.